Well, hello. I'm really excited today to be joined by Dr. Indra, who is one of my clients. I've been working with Indra now for about a couple of years now, haven't I? And she has, I'm delighted that she's agreed to join me today to explain and share her journey with the principles and how she uses them in her business and the impact that they've had on her business as well. So a really warm welcome. Thank you for joining me, Indra. Perhaps it would be really useful if you just shared a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, thank you very much for asking me to do this. I'm quite excited to share my experience with the three principle. It's been a massive journey over the last couple of years working with yourself and growing my business as well. So I started my business about 3 years ago. It's called Functional Medicine General Practice, FMGP, Dr. Indra FMGP. We are a practice that provide a functional approach to dealing with chronic illness. So it's a very holistic approach, getting to the root of illnesses and asking the question of why you're feeling the way you are. So we use a combination of sort of lifestyle changes, nutritional changes, supplements, testing to really get to know you, your story, and what we can do to try and get you back into balance again.
And so where were you, just so we can kind of get some context, where was your business when I met you?
I think it was probably about a year or two into it. I was still practicing general practice as well and was doing my business part-time, really, just 1 or 2 days a week, and just learning how to grow it and just feeling my way along, really, at that point. And then I met you at my first ever networking meeting that I've ever been to, which was very scary. But yeah, after that, it's kind of given me something tangible to use as I'm making decisions and growing my business.
So what kind of challenges in those early days did you think you were faced with? You know, how do you feel you were kind of getting in your own way of your business growing?
It was all my thinking. Now I know that. There was a lot of old style NHS thinking about what I could do, what I couldn't do, how I felt about myself. Did I have enough knowledge? The whole imposter thing. Was I good enough? Could I actually do this? And just being very scared to get myself out there and get people to know what I was doing, because why would they want to come and see me? I don't know. So all of those kind of questions that were going on in my head. So I was very kind of head underneath the parapet. Let's just see what happens.
And so what kind of impact did kind of understanding the principles, what impact has your principles journey had on all of that?
Well, it's kind of just made me realize that when I decided I was going to start the business, I went for my course, and then literally about a week or two later, I had this sensation, I need to start a practice. And I just did it. There wasn't any fear. There wasn't any thinking involved. I just booked a room and started my practice. Now I know that was my wisdom. Now I know that I followed my wisdom and have literally connected back with that initial thing, whatever it was, so that and that's helped me to grow, because now I know what it is, and I can really go back to that sensation and go, right, when I'm doing things, do I feel that way? Do I have that clear thought process that allows me to do things? And when things are not quite right, I'm like, okay, let's step back a bit. We need to kind of back off a little bit. Let's not get stressed about it. That's one of the key things I think that's changed.
Yeah, because it can be really quite unsettling, can't it, when you don't really know what direction you're going in your business, or what it is that you need to do, or what decision that you need to make.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know for me, actually understanding that wisdom is a tool that I can use kind of takes the pressure off a little bit.
Definitely. I mean, I know that just through recently, as things have grown, I've come to the next stage of growing my business, and at the moment I just can't see the clarity. before I would be like, oh my God, what do I do? Oh my, let's figure this out. Now I'm kind of like, you know what? Let's step back. Let's go for a walk, do something else. Because I know it will come through. I know that I have everything I need now. So I'm excited now rather than worried, which is amazing.
It's a great place to be, isn't it? Rather than being really worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like, where is your business now, you know, so we can get some kind of context, because you said initially that you were working 1 or 2 days. Is this something that you're still doing that, or is it grown much more than that now?
So my goal all of those years ago was to have a multidisciplinary team, so have more than me looking after my patients. So my business from that point to now, I now have a team of 6 people. I have people doing my administrative work. I've got a nutritional therapist that works with me. I've got another doctor that works with me. So we're now a proper team together. And I left the NHS last October, and I'm doing this full time. So it's been a complete change from when I first started this practice 3 years ago. So yeah, definite change.
Yeah. And how did you find that transition from going from part-time to taking that leap from having that kind of regular, dependable income? Because I know that quite a lot of people will be in that situation, to actually go, no, okay, I can do this. How did you find that leap, and how did the principles help you make that choice?
I think it was the principles that helped me understand that my wisdom is telling me this is the right thing to do. And what I was finding is that when I was going to work doing my general practice, even though I loved what I was doing, I knew it wasn't right. And I think that was causing me, I heard somewhere, something called moral injury. It was really affecting how I felt in myself and how I performed. So the principles allowed me to know that I have everything that I need, and I will know what I need to do, which is a scary leap to take. But I was able to just kind of say, I've just got to give it a go. And I knew it was the right thing to do. I don't really know how else to explain it. It was a sensation like I had 3 years ago. This is what I have to do. And I've never looked back since.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? It's just amazing.
It's a bizarre thing to talk about because it kind of just happens and you can't look back, can you? When you know that everything is going to be okay, it's there.
Yeah, it's just like having that really deeper knowledge, isn't it? That, you know, and letting go of the outcome, I think, as well, that we don't know what the outcome is, but we just know that that is the next step that we need to take.
Yeah.
And that the stress or worry or anxiety will only come when we kind of start to create the outcome, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, that becomes almost a work of fiction. And then when our reality doesn't match up to it, that's when we all start falling off. But when we let go of it, we can just see it pan out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, following the process and just really looking and seeing the opportunities and just going for it without having too much tatter thinking, well, why should I do that? Is that the right thing to do? Da, 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 da. If it felt right, I went for it. Yeah. And each process that I've been through, I've learned something, I've met new people, which have all been so important in my journey to get to where I am today.
That's really interesting as well, you know, that idea about connecting the dots, looking backwards.
Yes.
You can't predict them going forwards, but actually when you look back on your journey, all of those steps have been really relevant. And what about the steps that didn't work out in the way that you thought? How do you deal with those?
I was thinking that when I was doing the thing, you know, all the courses that you're doing at the moment, I've been thinking about that, and I was thinking, I've always believed that nothing is ever wrong. Mm-hmm. And I've always had that belief that things always happen for a reason. So far, if things haven't gone right, I've realized why and what the lesson is that I've needed to have from it. Yeah. So I think each process that didn't go as what I thought it was going to go, probably because it had to go like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? 'Cause, I mean, that's very much the approach that I take as well in my own business. You know, that there'll be some kind of nugget there that I need to have to either because it's relevant later on, or just something I need to change, or something. There'll be some kind of learning there.
Definitely, definitely. Each encounter that I have, either with a patient or with colleagues or with networking, I'm open to thinking, oh, how is this? This is an interesting conversation, and what have I learned from it, and how can I use this to better what I'm doing? So I've always said that my business has to go organically. I didn't know what that meant, but now I think I get it. That it was just, let's follow what happens and let's grow as things grow. I'm not sort of, I haven't got a 5-year plan that means I need to be blah 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 and do this in this time. I just want to grow, enjoy what I'm doing, be here, and support as many patients as I can.
Yeah, and how different is that for you, for how it was, say, 5 years ago, when you didn't know about the principles, you didn't know, you know, sort of how life worked, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I didn't know this, but after working with the principles, I realized that I've lived with an essence of, I guess anxiety would be the term, but a sensation within me that, oh, am I okay? What's going on? You know, that sort of sense of worriedness that has passed through my life for a long, long, long time. But I've always just worked with it. This is who I am. Da, da, da. Let's just keep going. But now I don't feel it anymore. And that is just the biggest change. You know, there is a sense of calm inside me, which I never knew I didn't have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like hidden under all
Yeah.
the layers of all of the thinking.
Yeah, yeah, because, I've always just kept going, okay, I want to go to med school, let's go to med school, let's go to med school. And then I was like, right, I need to become a GP. I become a GP, I finished the GP. Right, I need to do this and I need to do this. And then it got to the point, it was like, it doesn't feel right anymore. Oh dear, what have I done? Then that's when the journey started to kind of figure out who I am and where I need to go. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting, really interesting. And when you kind of describe your journey with the principles, I think sometimes, because they're really easy to get, if you were to describe them, we could describe them between us probably in about 3 minutes, couldn't we?
Yeah.
And and was it like that for you? Was it like, I described them to you and coached you on it for a little bit, and then you're like, yeah, that's fine, I've got it now? Or has it been something different to that? Like when you learn a new technique, you kind of know it and then that's it. Or has it been something different for you?
For me, it's been a journey. When we first started working together, there wasn't this is what we're working with. It was kind of like, let's understand you, let's understand your thinking, that kind of thing. And then suddenly it was like, oh, okay, there's something here. And then I've gone off and with your help sort of look at these books and understand it. And each situation that I've come across, that I've gone back to that, oh my God, what am I going to do stage, I've then obviously had the coaching with yourself, and that has explored the principles to the point now where I get them. So it's not been a overnight flick of a switch. It's been a steady kind of understanding through each encounter that I've been through, really.
Yeah, so almost like that kind of unpacking of when something happens, of then kind of reflecting and kind of learning from it, and things like that. And do you think that, having someone, having the coaching has helped you do that? Or
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely, because it's having that person who can shine a light on what you're thinking. Because even though you can sometimes, now I can step back and say, oh, this is a bit yucky thinking here. Sometimes I dive in without even realizing that I've dove in, because of what's going on around me. I might be tired or haven't slept or not eaten properly, you know, whatever the situation is, your old habits come through, and sometimes you see it and you can go, oh, okay. Sometimes you kind of go, oh, what's going on? And then when you have the coaching, you're like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think once you said to me, oh, yeah, but you've been really busy. Isn't that, does that have something to do with how you're thinking? Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it can be so obvious, can it? We just don't see it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's right in front of our faces, but we can't see it.
I often liken it to walking around town, you know, when you've got ketchup on your nose, or if you've had young children and they've left like a very nice kind of like hair clip in your head and you've completely forgotten, and
Yeah.
everyone tells you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, your really close friend, and they say, oh, you realize you've still got the good girl sticker on your front, or whatever it is, or nicely kind, you know, compassionately wipes the ketchup off your face. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh no, you know, it's those kinds of moments are priceless, aren't they?
Definitely. And that's what I found with each session. I kind of unpacked another area and another layer, and we're always going through it. I mean, I think that's why the principles really resonates with what I do, because my patients, one of the principles that I use in my patients is that our bodies are meant to heal. We have to get out of the way of our bodies. And that's kind of what we're doing, isn't it? With the three principles, we just to be able to see and get rid of that thinking, or not get rid, but just become aware of it, I guess.
Yeah, and just kind of see more and more that we have this kind of self-righting kind of mechanism, really.
Yeah.
And that we go back to being okay, and that we can just let stuff go that perhaps we thought was impossible for us to let go, that we needed to do something special. Actually, we can just let it go, and it's really a lot easier than we thought it was. I think that was probably the most impactful thing for me in kind of my journey, was just to allow to just go, oh, you know, I can just let that go now.
Yeah.
Not kind of helpful. So how do you see the principles kind of in your future now, you know, and your wisdom? What importance does that have for you?
I use that wisdom, or I use that the principles in knowing how to move the business forward. Like I was saying, you know, I've got to make some decisions about what to do in the next year, you know, try and figure out some goals and things like that. I don't know why I'd need to do that, but that's something that people have been saying to me. But I've kind of stepped back and gone, well, actually, I don't need to. So that's the wisdom working as well. So I use it in everyday working, really. You know, when an email comes through and it doesn't feel right, I go away, do something else, you know, and I understand how I'm responding to things that are going on around me. I have an understanding of what my consciousness is. It red? Is it green? Is it yellow? To know how I'm responding to people around me, or to, you know, to my patients. So it's involved in every aspect of my day-to-day work now. I don't think I can tease it out.
Yeah, it's like once you've seen it, you just then can't go back to how it was before.
No,
Don't you?
yeah. It's part of literally every day. And knowing that, you know, if I wake up today, I'm like, so what's going to happen? And just be excited to say, oh, let's see which email comes through and what that's going to tell me today. And, you know, who am I going to be speaking to today? And what am I going to learn from them today? So it's a lot different from thinking, oh my God, I've got emails to look at.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost like how we're conditioned to kind of approach things, isn't it?
Oh yeah, totally.
You know, and to be able to just let that go, it's really interesting how we're kind of naturally kind of quite happy and calm, and it's and it's interesting that how we can do that within our working life, just not because we tend to separate, don't we, kind of oh, I need to be happy. Our balanced life is happy at home and then work.
Yes.
But to actually then say, well, I can be happy wherever I am. I can be motivated, I can be resilient. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, whether I'm working or whether I'm at home with the family, I can be that all of the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a clear, when you start working in this way, and when you speak to your colleagues and stuff like that, or your outside friends, you realize that we spend a lot of our time not enjoying what we're doing. And it's like, oh, but I enjoy what I do. And then you question yourself, why am I enjoying what I'm doing? This is bizarre.
You do some more thinking about it. It's like you feel a bit more guilty that you're enjoying it.
Yeah. But we are so conditioned to think that work is work. Oh my God. Yeah. We must work hard. That's one of the things that happened right at the beginning. I was reading some books about starting a business, and it was kind of saying, well, if you're not working 7 days a week, then you're not doing a good business. So there's all this conditioning out there to say the harder you work, that's how you're going to make it right or make it okay.
Yeah, and that's interesting as well, isn't it? Because when you kind of go back to those 3 years ago, I mean, I don't know, but did you think it's going to take a lot of work and it's going to be really hard to get the business to where you are now?
Yeah, I just thought I would be working 7 days a week. You know, I'd already planned with my kids and my husband to say, look, I'm starting this business. Are you able to support me? Because I don't know how much time it's going to take and how far away I'm going to be, just to prepare them. And it's nothing like that now at all. I'm at home, I do the kids, I do this, and I still run my business. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be tricky, but it isn't that hard work thing that I was anticipating it would be. And just to reflect on 3 years when we reached that, I was like, oh my God, how did it happen? It wasn't such a hard slog as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So for the people who are listening to you now, what do you think was the kind of the biggest impact of learning the principles and staying in that conversation and kind of weaving it into how you approach your business now? What do you think the biggest impact of that has been?
For me, I think there's 2 big impacts. One is understanding thought, and just really having the capacity now to look at my thoughts rather than dive into it. And then the second thing is connecting with the wisdom. Once I had those 2 in place, it just all became very clear.
It's fantastic. Well, usually in these things I kind of say, oh, what are your plans for the future? But as you've already said, we don't know.
I don't know.
Excited as to what the future's going to hold.
I'm just going to hold a space and just see what comes around the corner. And it's not an inactivity. I'm reading, I'm looking, I'm talking. So let's see what pans out, Maybe in London, I may be in, doing more group work. I may be adding more people to my team. I don't know. So
that's lovely that you're just so happy to sit and kind of just sit with that wisdom, sit in that space and just allow your wisdom, because it doesn't come on demand, does it?
Definitely not on demand.
It doesn't come on demand, but knowing that actually it will come when the time is right.
Yeah. And that's one, that's another thing, is just to allow yourself to be there. And that's a scary place to be sometimes.
Yeah. And we're so conditioned as well to have to do something, that we have to do something to settle, or we have to do something to make our wisdom speak to us, how was that part of the journey for you?
Yeah, I've been through that. What can I do, Andrea? What should I do today? I just don't feel like I've got too much going on. But you have to go through that to understand that you kind of have to go through, as you described, your storm. You have to sit with that to understand that when you come through the other side, you would have learned something about yourself. And that's part of our journey, I think, is being human, just learning about ourselves and learning how we interact with the world around us and following what the wisdom is trying to, I don't know, present to us. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. Is there anything that you would like to add? Any questions that I haven't asked, perhaps, or anything that occurs to you?
No, I think I want people to know that it's a journey, and that it's an exciting journey if you allow it to be. And I know some people are in a dark place, but if they can understand the thinking and the thoughts, it's often the first key to understanding that we don't have to listen to every single thing our mind creates for us.
Yeah, that's really powerful, isn't it? Just like we don't have to watch the movie just because it's running.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, really, really powerful thing to see. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's been lovely talking about it. I love using it in my day-to-day life. So to spread the message is even better for me.
And of course, what we'll do is I'll put links to all your sites and everything, so that if anyone who's listening wants to get in contact with you about what you're doing now, because the work you do is just amazing, then they know where to find you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much.